Hello everybody and welcome back to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'm bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content coming out for you guys every single day. Usual shout out of appreciation both to our patrons and to Wes and everyone else who's given us a tip during our live chat. Speaking of the live chats, every Thursday at 6 o'clock, I will be in it every single time. It's a chance for you to just BS with me and the rest of Sin City Living, or give us some suggestions on videos. We get a bunch of them every single week, or just ask any questions, or again, just BS with us. It's all good. We also do a second one on Tuesdays at 4:30. So far, I have not missed a single one, although that one I do not promise to be able to make it every single time. Work and life may come up. But even if I miss it, I will go back through the chat logs. But again, I haven't missed one yet. So if you're curious about the patron part, go ahead and take a look at the description of the video down below. We have started to release the craps instructional course on that site to our patrons. So hopefully everybody's enjoying those. We're going to release them probably 2 videos a week. And otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get into today's episode. Now, we're probably going to be changing things in the next week or two. There just hasn't been a lot of demand for the Vegas history or the Vegas true crime. So our Tuesday, Thursday shows, we may start mixing them up. We definitely want to continue to add true crime and just stories about Vegas, cheaters, things like that. But we may start mixing it up soon, just changing the format or the subjects and stuff along those lines, just to keep things a little bit fresher. We do want to continue doing things different. You know, maybe we'll start including some restaurant reviews and things like that. So for today, in fact, I'm going to do things a little bit different. Instead of Vegas history, I'm just going to do about a dozen just oddball facts on Vegas. Okay, so this one probably won't be all that long either. It won't take me too long to go into this. So the first one, Las Vegas is actually considered the brightest spot on Earth because of the millions of lights that are part of it. I can totally see that. Not even talking about that spotlight up on top of the Luxor that you can see from space that I don't think they have going every single minute of every single day anymore. But not even counting that, just everything else, all these lights, all the light in all of Vegas makes it considered the brightest spot on Earth. The Stratosphere. The Stratosphere, it's 1,149 feet tall. It is actually the tallest observation tower in the entire United States. West of the Mississippi, right? Yeah. West of the Mississippi, it is actually the second tallest freestanding building in the country. Well, west of the Mississippi, so half of the country. It's a big-ass building. I've of course been in the Strat. I've been all the way up to the top, even a little jump thing off of it. It's big. It's big. It's tall. And I will say this too with the Strat, that the remodel that the Strat had not too long ago, the inside is absolutely gorgeous. They did a fantastic job remodeling the inside. Obviously, the outside still looks a little bit dated, a little bit older. It would take one heck of a remodel, maybe $1 billion rebuild, to really modernize it. But they've done an amazing job. It looks fantastic. Outside looks a lot better, but the inside just looks amazing. The only downside of the Strat, honestly, to me, is just its location. The north part of Vegas is just no longer the place to be. So it doesn't matter how much you build it up and remodel it and make it beautiful again. If there's not a lot around you, you're just not going to get super busy. So the Strat is always going to have that going against it until the north part of Vegas starts to revitalize, which I'm sure will happen at some point. Another interesting one. So Las Vegas accounts for 60,000 pounds of shellfish a day. Shrimp, lobster, crab legs, all the usual stuff. 60,000 pounds of shellfish a day. That's 30 tons. 30 tons of shellfish a day. That, by the way, is more than the rest of the United States combined every single day. So all those shrimp cocktails and such out there, and the lobster buffets and the crab leg buffets, more than the rest of the United States combined. Can you guess how many wedding chapels there are in Vegas? 50. It's 50 wedding chapels in Vegas. On average, Vegas has 300 weddings a day. 50 wedding chapels. Now here's the thing though. 50 wedding chapels, that's not counting all the traveling ministers. I was married in my own home. My wife and I got married here in our house, just about 30 feet that way. by one of the traveling ministers during the pandemic. Everything else was locked down, although we wanted a small ceremony anyway. So not just the 50 wedding chapels, there's lots of options for people to get married. So 300 weddings a day. It's a lot of people getting married. And that's just in Las Vegas. That's not in Nevada. That's Las Vegas. Just Las Vegas. Remember that millions of lights, brightest spot on Earth? Before I give out the fact, just in your head, try and guess how much neon tubing there is in Las Vegas. How much neon tubing, whether it be in how many hundreds or thousands of yards or feet or meters, however you want to think of it. How much neon tubing is there in Las Vegas? 15,000. Now, I ask again, were you thinking in yards and meters and feet? 15,000 miles of neon tubing in Las Vegas. That's a lot of neon lights. That is a whole lot of neon lights. Speaking of which, one of these episodes I'm going to have to show you guys the Sin City Living neon that we had made by a local business. It's not the big neon, it's a little smaller one. The neon is more backlit neon, but it's really cool. It's really awesome, real controlled, different lights and all that. It's really cool. So 15,000 miles of neon tubing. That's a lot of freaking tubing. The Bellagio fountain display. How many fountains do you think are involved in that? 12,000. 12,000 fountains involved in the Bellagio fountain display. As we've covered in our mob episodes, the Las Vegas and its gambling, at one point gambling was made illegal, and then it was legalized again. It was legalized again in 1931, and when Nevada re-legalized gambling, that actually prompted a number of states to petition to have Nevada's statehood revoked or recalled. Obviously that failed, obviously that didn't work, but that's an odd one. And speaking of the mob, we've talked about Bugsy Siegel. We've talked about Bugsy Siegel a couple times. Just about anything related to mob here in Las Vegas or here in Nevada or damn near the West Coast, Bugsy Siegel pops up in some way, shape, or form. Him and Meyer Lansky were involved with so many things. It was incredible. But his influence on Vegas is immortalized in one interesting little way. His car. Bugsy Siegel's car is permanently buried underneath the Flamingo. Underneath the Flamingo, Bugsy Siegel's car is buried. And that is a permanent thing. Even though the Flamingo's been torn down and rebuilt, his car is still there. He is permanently buried underneath the Flamingo. If the Flamingo ever gets rebuilt, I'm sure the car will still remain there. I can't imagine that being gotten rid of. Conventions. Over 22,000 conventions every single year. 4.6 million people coming to conventions. 4.6 million people. Now, when they poll people as they're coming to Vegas, only about 15% of people that come to Vegas say they are coming to gamble. Despite that, over 72% of people that come to Vegas end up gambling during their stay. So while Vegas has tried to make itself as more of a mecca of entertainment than of gambling, gambling is still obviously the primary driver here in Vegas. I mean, we've got the shows, the nightclubs, all of this entertainment, the conventions, all this other stuff going along. But it all ends up coming back to gambling. It really does. People come out for a convention. They go to the convention, then they're at the tables. People come out come out here because they want to see a show. You know, let's say there's a concert here and you live, 6 hours away, 12 hours, 8 hours away, and you decide you want to come see this concert. So you drive down here to see the show. Of course, you get a room. You go see the show, and then what are you going to do? You're going to hit the tables. So huge portion of people end up gambling. Speaking of gambling, my last two facts are gambling related. Biggest roulette bet ever. So at the Golden Gate, which is fitting since it was the first casino in Las Vegas, and it was for $250,000. That's a single bet. I'm not talking about spread around throughout the whole table. One bet, $250,000. And I obviously that was a private table. That kind of bet has to be cleared in advance, especially if they bet it on a single number, because that's 35-1. That's a lot of millions. That is a whole lot of millions. $8.75 million if it won. $8.75 million. And Golden Gate is not a Bellagio or a Cosmopolitan or something that routinely has people betting millions of dollars. So, $250,000. In 2010, it wasn't even all that long ago. What about the biggest slot win ever? $39 million. Biggest slot win ever recorded. $39 million. I've actually read about that slot win. The person who won asked to not have their identity revealed. So, because typically when a big hit comes, either a slot or something like that, that's when you see like the picture of them holding the big fake check, stuff like that on the website, or a news article gets written about it. But people can, of course, ask to not have their picture taken, to not have their name put out there, and that's what this player did. But $39 million slot win, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty huge. So I hope you guys have enjoyed these 12 or 13 or so random facts on Las Vegas. As we continue to try and figure out what kind of content we want to add that's not just gambling related, please email us if you have anything. If you have any suggestions, shoot me an email, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. We definitely want this channel to be for you guys, and we want to add more to it than just the gambling. We definitely want this to be something that people can come watch besides just gambling. So please, if you have any suggestions, questions, ideas, anything you would like us to shoot, let me know. Otherwise, we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.